Okay, Kevin. So in part one, you've got the job with the Racing and Football Outlook. Now, there used to be adverts in the Racing and Football Outlook advertising tipsters. If I'd seen one saying that last year the tipster made 1,000 points profit, I would be a bit sceptical. But that's exactly what you did, isn't it, in your first season?
I did. It wasn't actually my third season because, as I just mentioned, I started off as a columnist, just once a fortnight, doing sort of more advice sort of stuff, mostly to do with the pools, but some other stuff to do with the fixed odds betting. And there was a regular guy who did the football tipping, and he went under the nom de plume of Figaro. And I think there had been a Figaro ever since 1908 or whenever the paper started. And I always liked that sort of thing about that paper, and later on with the Sporting Life, that they'd been going for years and years and years, and they were old established things, you know. Anyway, shortly after I became the football editor, the guy who was then Figaro was Alex Lavelle, who went on to become deputy sports editor on the Racing Post. And when he was offered that job, he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't do Figaro anymore. I'm going to have to devote more time to the Racing Post." So he left, and somebody else had to be Figaro instead. And I thought, I don't know, I thought maybe it could be me, you know. And I was the editor, so I had a sort of say in the matter. And I think also that the people above me probably thought, oh, this was a good idea, not because they knew whether I'd be any good or not, but they thought, well, if he does it, we won't have to pay anybody else to do it, so we're saving a bit of money, you know. So I became Figaro, and I was Figaro for one season or so. And I have to say again, I've been fortunate in so many ways throughout my life. And I was fortunate then. I had a purple season. Everything that could possibly go right did go right. I think my main tips in those days used to be in the form of, there were 7 selections around even money, and you would back every 5 from 7. And that was an arrangement I learned from Angus Lockram, who was our golf tipster at the time. He was a lovely guy, as so many of these people were. And the first week, I think all 7 came in, so I was flying from the beginning, and I just got so much more luck than I did deserve to have. And I remember several things about that season. One of them was right at the end, when they had the week when there was like all the cup finals and the playoffs and the European Cup finals and that sort of thing. I think every tip in the paper, apart from one, was successful, you know. And the next week there was a panel in there listing them all and saying, if you can get better tipping anywhere else in another paper, buy it. Which was quite an arrogant thing to say, but we were just floating along, and so many things were going right, you know. And obviously I loved it all, you know. And I remember 2 other things in particular. One was one week in the press office on press day. I think it was a Monday by those times. Dave Nevison was in the office, the horse racing tipster, and he used to write a column for us in those days. And he came up to me and he said, "Kevin, I should have stayed at home this year rather than wasting my time going all around the racecourses. I should have stayed at home and followed your tips." And I think he was being kind, but it was a kindness I really appreciated. I thought, wow, somebody like that, who I looked up to and was in awe of them, somebody like that says that to me. And I thought, oh, wow, that's really lovely. That makes me feel good. And one other thing was, this had never happened to me before or since, but I got a letter from a lady who said she'd been following my tips in the paper. She said her boyfriend used to buy the paper, and he did the racing, and she said, oh, he's a loser, he's losing all the time. But I saw these panels about you, so I thought I'd start to follow you. And I made loads of money. And she said, will you run away with me? Which has never happened to me before or since. And you might believe it's true if I tell you that, being Figaro, obviously, you didn't have your picture in the paper or anything like that. And she didn't send me a picture either. But I wrote back to her and I explained, look, I'm glad you've been making money, but and I wish it would go on forever, but it's not going to be like this forever. You know, this is a golden period, and I hope I'll be able to carry on doing well, but I don't know. And certainly we're not going to carry on at this level, you know.
And were you punting at the time? Were you backing them all?
No, I wasn't. I really didn't get any personal benefit from that at all. Only over time did I start to bet, and I came to realise that it was wrong not to. That I think it was Nassim Taleb, who's a general sort of like financial writer, who many years later I came to find and love all the stuff that he did. He said that you've got to have skin in the game, you know, and if you're saying to somebody, put your money on this, then you've got to put your own money on this. And I didn't realise that at the beginning, but I came to know that it was true. So later on, for quite many years, I was backing my own chips. When I was able to, once I started to try to back them myself, I realised it's not always easy, and maybe we'll discuss that later on. But in the beginning, and certainly in those times on the Racing Football Outlet, I wasn't, no.
Okay, so were you not betting before? Were you not a punter before you even started looking into these stats and things?
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't at all, no. And I came to feel that that was something that served me well over the years. I came into this field from somewhere else, and as I already explained to you, it was trying to find a job that got me to do things that might have been interesting to bettors, and therefore I started to write about betting. But I wasn't originally a betting man myself, and I do feel that helped me because I certainly wasn't compulsive. I wasn't somebody who had to have a bet all the time. And also, I was very cautious. You know, I'm aware there are people who say I was much too cautious, but I like winning, but most of what I didn't want to lose, you know. And so I was always trying to find ways to give myself the maximum possible confidence that I might have an edge. So I think it was an advantage to me that I wasn't naturally a bettor. Once I started getting into this, and particularly doing the pools, my father, who was a bit more confident in me than I was, said we should do a syndicate on the pools. And him and my brother and I, we did that for a while. So I suppose that was a form of betting, but we weren't really risking very much. And we once won just over £500, I think. So it's not the jackpot, but it seemed like, wow, that was a good thing to us at the time, you know. But that was the only betting I was doing then, yeah.
Okay, now, whether you're a tipster or whether you follow a tipster, when you're flying, it's all lovely. But ultimately, that purple patch must have ended at some point. Now, how were you when it wasn't going well? And how did you deal with it?
It's a good question. I mean, I was fortunate, as with so many other things, on the Racing and Football Outlet. I sort of left there and got a job on the Racing Post before the inevitable bad run started on the Racing Football Outlet. So I never really got it there. I escaped by running away to somewhere else. But there always were bad periods. And even though I was lucky enough to have so many sort of profitable seasons ultimately, there were, in almost every season, there was always a period, quite a long patch, when things didn't go well, you know, I would try. I was helped. I mean, I was helped particularly by my editor, Bruce Millington, who was the editor on the Racing Football Outlook, and before that, he was sort of in charge of me on the Sporting Life, and he was just so good as an editor, and he understood betting, of course, and he knew that these things happened, and he was also aware if I was going through a bad patch, and he would always come up to me and he would always say, look, Kevin, I know it's not going well, but you know, you're going to turn it around. Don't worry, everything's going to be all right. And that was a wonderful reassurance to have, you know, when you're going through a bad time. But still, I felt it myself, and I tried to be as calm as I could. I tried to carry on doing the same things as much as I could. In later years, I'd read a lot of sort of you know, like sort of like Buddhist stuff about sort of being detached from things and not getting caught up in stuff, and that helped me, but never completely. You know, I've got to be honest. I always found it hard when things weren't going well, and I hated it, and I was thinking, oh, I'm rubbish, and I'm never going to tip a winner again, and and I would try to get out of those thoughts as much as possible, and I was successful up to a point, but never completely successful, to be honest.
I used to get the racing and football outlook on and off. I can't remember now. So did this Figaro chap, was your name in the byline, or were you just...
No, it was completely anonymous.
So nobody knew it was you. It's
Nobody
this bloke
knew.
from 1907 that was getting all the glory.
That's right, yeah. When I got a letter from this kind lady, she addressed it to Figaro. She didn't know it was Kevin Pulley. No, that was completely anonymous. You know.
So then you moved for the sport. You went to Sporting Life first after Racing and Football Outlook.
Well, yes, it sort of overlapped slightly. Once I got onto the Racing and Football Outlook, I was trying to look to do other things as well. And again, I had enormous good fortune getting onto the Sporting Life.
But did you have to say, honest, I'm Figaro, you know?
No, I didn't. It didn't even really sort of come up at that time. In fact, I probably got onto the Sporting Life before I had that season when I was Figaro. But what happened with the Sporting Life was, I thought, okay, I'm on the Racing Football Outlook. Where else can I go? The Sporting Life was a step up, even bigger and better. You know, publication since goodness knows when. And I came up with this idea of doing some stats on the football markets for first scorer and for double result, like half time, full time. And these were I was just thinking, well, what can I do? You know, there wasn't much, and this was stuff that I thought I could do. And so I pitched it to them. And what I didn't know was that actually at that time, for the next season onwards, bookmakers were going to open up football betting a bit more, and you were going to be able to play singles on these markets, these two specific markets, first scorers and half time, full time. And the Sporting Life probably thought, wow, this is a clued up guy, you know, he sent us a really timely submission offering us something which is just what we need right now. But it wasn't. It was it was a complete accident. I had no idea. And anyway, by my dumb good luck, I got in there. And I always remember one Sunday afternoon, the phone rang and I was at home. And it was Tom Clark, who was the editor of the Sporting Life at the time. And he said, oh, we got this idea, Kevin. Yeah, we'd like to go with it. Make it a sort of feature once a week on a Saturday. And this is a thing that I've never forgotten. He said, your job, Kevin, is to help our readers make winning tips. And I thought, wow, it's quite an intimidating commission. But I thought, what a wonderful commission. And I had no idea really whether I would be able to do it. Certainly not over a period of time, but I thought, oh, I'd really like to try. And I've always borne that in mind over the years, that was my job. And to the extent that I was able to do it, you know, I just felt really proud, you know. And also proud then to be on that paper, you know, the Sporting Life. And I think Bertie Wooster was supposed to have read the Sporting Life, and I thought, wow, you know, I'm writing for the paper that the fictional Bertie Wooster read, and there were so many other great people on there, you know, writers that I admired and wonderful writers, and I only had a little bit in the beginning, but I was in there, and my name was in there, and I thought, wow, I was so pleased, you know.